Senator Schumer, the New York Democrat, and we opened the new year with an article in the New York Times pointing out that offshoring was killing the economy. And it caused a sensation because here was a Reaganite and a left-wing Democrat challenging what everybody thought was free trade. And so immediately the Brookings Institution held a conference in Washington and invited all the big shots, and C-SPAN came and televised it and showed it over and over, and where we made the case that offshoring would completely destroy the economy and the job prospects of Americans. And it wouldn't just be the blue-collar workers. It would be the university graduates. It would be essentially everybody. And in doing this conference, I predicted that in 20 years, the United States would be a third world country if this continued. And it's continued. And we now have increasing attributes of a third world country. The only jobs available are domestic services.
And now that's contracting. A lot of the economic numbers I see say that unemployment's really over 20%. From Dr. Roberts, looking at the numbers yourself, is that accurate that we see out a lot of these big financial analyst groups? They're saying 20 to 22%?
If you measure the unemployment rate the way it was measured in 1980, it's currently 22%. Yes. And the 10% figure is a headline number. The government itself knows it's no good, and the government's real number is about 17%.
Well, let me give you an example. I'm in Austin, Texas, rated as the best city in the country in this now endless recession. And I try to go to restaurants I went to in the past, closed. Many of the shopping malls and strip centers, half the shops are closed or starting to close. My audience has tripled the last 2 years, more than tripled. But the same amount of money's coming in from video, book sales, advertising that was coming in 3 years ago. And I've talked to everybody else in radio, TV, everything. It's the same. The economy is, well, we've seen the numbers. Texas has the highest drop in sales taxes that it's ever had in its history. The same for 41 states. I saw a Business Journal article last week. I mean, every indicator is things are falling apart, and the government's only passing more taxes. And then meanwhile, 800-plus cities are sanctuary cities where illegal aliens are above the law and don't get arrested for DWI or assault. And there's more illegals coming in, bankrupting the welfare rolls. I mean, this is I don't think it's going to take another 10 years for us to be a third world country. I'd say if this continues, 3-4 years, Doctor?
Well, there's a lot of stored wealth. It would last a while. But you're on to a good point. Let's talk for a minute about what a declining economy does to the people, to marriage, to the self-esteem of unemployed men, what it does to the social fabric. Now, that unemployment rate, 22%, it masks a lot of things that are much worse. For example, the unemployment rate of white males, say 24 to 35, in the career-forming years, it's higher than 22%. The unemployment rate of inner-city blacks is horrendous. It's more like 67%. What you see is not just the destruction of the economy, but the destruction of the society, of social cohesion. And you're seeing the destruction of the poorer classes of whites, which is now, they're now living the life like inner city blacks. And so the whole country is coming apart at the seams.
Let me ask you a question. I've seen the number of 22%, and you're confirming that unemployment, and that if you add in the underemployed, it's close to 40% total that are unemployed or underemployed, meaning people can't make ends meet. They're not lazy. They're working 2-3 jobs. And then I get these Wall Street guys on, like Damon Vickers, and he just says, well, that's because a lot of people are just lazy. No, people aren't lazy.
No, that's exactly right. There aren't any jobs. There aren't any jobs. And you see, as I say in the book, to recover, you have to have an economy. But we don't. We gave it away for what they call the new economy, which was a hoax. There isn't any new economy. And so nothing is done in Washington to get the economy back. And they're continuing to give it away. And this is why I think that they will not succeed in their world aims, because the economy will collapse out from under them. The dollar will collapse out from under them. And I couldn't predict what the consequences of that type of disaster would be, but it would be horrendous. And so I don't believe that they can just march right ahead and achieve the aims that we've identified. I think they'll run into the lack of resources.
Well, Doctor, let me throw a few wild cards in. It's official. Microsoft, Time, Newsweek, New York Times, they're all calling to censor the web, make you have a web ID to get on. The Pentagon is taking over all the internet grids. They admit in the cybersecurity bill it is to take over the web. It says the new job hiring, the new bubble in internet will be government hiring high school and college kids to serve in this. We're now being censored more and more. So they're moving to block us talking about the raping that we're all going under right now. And I also believe they're going to play the staged terror card. We know that Christmas underwear thing was staged. Can you comment? Well, we're going to go to break. I want to come back and have you comment on that, because I know that they've designed this, and they believe, whether they're right or not, they're going to get away with it, starting new wars, staging terror attacks, curtailing the internet. So we'll talk about that with Dr. Paul Craig Roberts on the other side. His book, How the Economy Was Lost, The War of the Worlds. Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, available now on the internet and in stores. We'll be right back.